everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Beyond Retro podcast. I'm Tyler Baker, and the whole table is here in some form or another. Nasty Nick Kennedy and the Rotten Amato Joe Amato. You guys doing all right, considering?
I'm partially here. I'm feeling a little nauseous. I was telling these guys before we got started, feeling a little nauseous. Got my Sprite, so if at any point anyone's looking in the corner and I'm not saying anything and I'm just kind of like, and then immediately cut everything off, I probably just had to run to the bathroom and puke or something. I
hope you don't have to do that, man. That's gonna make me feel bad sitting trying. Excuse me. You mind keeping it down back there? I'm making a point here. You know?
Well, I'll make sure to mute my microphone.
Well, no. I just like it's gonna make me feel bad trying to do the podcast. Me and Joe are like, I can't do this. I can't. It's not right. You know.
So. It sounded like Chunk when it was in the Goonies when he was talking about when everybody was throwing like.
Yeah. I've never felt so bad in my entire life.
Yeah, at first I asked him, well, before we got started, I said, well, what got you sick? Rawhead Rex or something? He's like, I haven't seen that yet. It's like, well, shit, I thought we were talking about Rawhead Rex or something with Monster Squad. He's like, no, it's Once Bitten in Monster Squad. I was like, whoops, my fault. So
wait a second here.
Yeah, we told, because Joe was like, well, let's just save we'll save Rawhead Rex and Pumpkinhead and do those together. It's like the monster movies. I was like, okay, yeah.
That's how bad it is with my memory. It's fucking horrible. But at least I'll be going by, I told, again, Nathan before I started, I was like, well, Monster Squad, it's probably been about 5 years. Once Bitten, maybe 7 or 10. I said, but I can go by memories. That's okay, because once you guys start talking, it'll come into my head. I've seen them both. And also, Who Dat Whale, JSP, Yanish, and Jake Juggalo, thank you all for joining us. But, God, yeah, Jesus. You figure, God, if Joe forgot something from last week, how the hell is he going to do anything when it comes to Monster Squad and Once Bitten? But I'll give it my best.
God, like it's almost like how we expect to do horror month when Joe hasn't seen everything in like 20 years.
It's fucking terrible. Same thing.
I would be curious, like what do you have a lot of movies accessible in your collection, Joe, or is it just
this is what's bad? Well, here's what's bad about it. My VCR, God, I wish I could get one because then I could watch all my old shit because I have Once Bitten.
Just go to Goodwill, dude. There's VCRs there all the time.
I need to because that's the other thing. When we do Rawhead Rex, this is the worst thing about it. I have not seen Rawhead Rex since I rented that at Ben's Tropical Fish video way back in the 80s. I have not seen it then. I'm just going to, again, try to go back by a memory. Oh, that's...
And you've been carrying a flag for that and pushing that movie, and you haven't seen it since the 80s?
I liked it. I just knew it was so crazy and, like just weird and strange. And, it was one of Clive Barker's early movies, I think even before Hellraiser. Yeah. I think I might be wrong.
It was.
But, yeah, I just remembered that some of it scared me. But shit, maybe there'll be links or something. I don't know if they would have those on YouTube or if there's Google links, but I'll try to find it because I don't want to go with a 30-year memory of Rawhead Rex.
And that's the thing, like Tyler was saying, he's been pushing for this film. We got to talk about Rawhead Rex one day. Oh, all right, sure, let's do it in October. And then he 2 weeks before we do it, he hits us with this. Well, I haven't seen it since I rented it on beta back.
Like he just wants us to pass the buck to us and have us pay for all the expenses, take care of the budget, the catering, the planning, and then Joe just kind of shows up for the fireworks. And
because I even told Nathan, I said, I don't know if it's on DVD or Blu-ray or something. He's like, I think I could order it, and then he ordered it. He's like, yeah, I can order it. And I can see it. I'm like, oh, good. And I'm thinking, shit, I don't have this fucking movie where I can watch it. Damn it!
This was back in like August.
Yeah, it's like, I could have prepared.
Joe was like that one guy that if the three of us were to go out to dinner and like Tyler and I get salads because we're like, all right, well, we're watching our budget and our money and everything. And then Joe's like, I'm going to get the 20-ounce New York strip. I'm getting dessert. And then when the check comes
next time, right?
When the waiter comes, it's like, all three of us are splitting equally. So we end up having to pay more.
That could be a possibility.
Or Joe just looks at the check, he's like, huh, and then slides it over to the other side, hoping one of us will grab it.
Yeah, I do the quick.
Or he gets up after we said just to check, please, and then Joe's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and then he just gets up and claims that he took a long, memorable dump in the bathroom. While me and Nathan are like, well, the check is already here. Joe just pulled a fast one on us here to get out of the check.
That would be it. Or I try to find that way of
and then makes a point to go by the register or the counter up front and takes a big handful of the pillowy mints.
Yeah.
You guys want some?
and some toothpicks and everything. Make sure I have it all ready, and then tap Tyler on the shoulder like, "Hey man, I'll get you next time. Don't worry about it."
And with
And
the
then,
toothpick and sticking through his mask, like yeah, give me the finger gun, just act like he's a suave dude, and then goes by and steals someone's like purse off her table and takes it to the bathroom, hoping he'll pick up a date with her.
Yeah, and then some little kid's also walking by with a Happy Meal toy, slaps it out of his hand. He's like, "Oh, hey, check this out! This Mario figure. This is cool, huh?"
Or like when Al and Married with Children, when he grabbed that one little kid, he's like, "You didn't see nothing, kid, nothing." He took his sucker and pointed at him when they were at the movies, and then they all walked to the theater.
Yep.
That's it, just yours. You didn't see nothing. Oh shit! So, well, yeah,
we have Joe's lifestyle all figured out here, or what it would be like an evening with Joe Amato would be. See just how cheap Joe can be with us. Me and Nathan won't call him out on it.
And speaking of that,
we got too much heart.
Yeah, and speaking of cheap, an update on Joe's earbuds. He was like, "Hey, these dollar earbuds are already starting to go." I'm like, "Well, Joe, they were a fucking $1 at the dollar store. Yep. What did you expect?"
Yeah, I was just gonna tell him that too. And so after this podcast's over, I'm gonna have to run to the Dollar Tree and get a new set of dollar earbuds
and a burrito.
Yeah, so these white ones, maybe I'll try black ones or something. But yeah, these white ones, they already went out that quick. So yeah, that's quick. All right, so hey, we're into some Monster Squad and one spitting. There you go. 2 movies you don't hear too much talking about. So whoever gets started off, you guys get start off, and then I'm gonna try to bring my old memories in.
Well, before we get going, I just want to say, if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when we go live, so you can join all these guys in the chat. Monster Squad, oddly enough, the first time I watched it was thanks to Tyler. I remember it specifically. I mean, there may have been a point when I was a kid that it came on TV or something and I caught pieces of it, but first time I really remember watching it, Tyler's like, "You got to check this movie out." We were at his mom's house, went down to the basement on that big ass blocky
big screen TV.
Yeah, big screen TV.
Which they still have to this day.
Does it still work? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But we sat there one afternoon and checked it out, and I just immediately fell in love with it. It's written by Fred Decker and Shane Black.
Directed. The guys who botched the latest piece of shit Predator film.
Which, that's another thing. It's like, well, what happened there? But man, the more and more we're gonna like dig into this movie, there's so many aspects to it that you just don't see in Hollywood anymore. Like specifically, I'm thinking about the scene where they're picking on him and they're calling him like, "Hey, fat kid, you fag," and all this stuff. I'm just like, damn, like you would not see that in a movie today, because it would throw everybody up in arms. Oh my God, you called him fat and you called him a fag. I'm like, well, that's just, it's honestly
how kids today talk, even in high school, but no one's gonna
like
entertainment.
Yeah. But that's like that kind of shit just happens. And just you look at the base storyline for both of these movies that we're talking about today. A group of kids has their little club and they're really into monsters, and hey, guess what? The Universal monsters are actually real and they're here, and it's up to us because we know the most about them. You think about that and you're just like, things like this don't really get made anymore. And if they do, it's usually just like some Disney Channel original movie, and it passes by and no one cares. And Monster Squad's a film that's like it's got its own documentary that's coming out. It's a cult classic, but it's really finally, I feel like, starting to get that light on it that it should have had all along. All right. Yeah, I'm just sitting here. I'm just like, because there's one time let's.
Is that Joe giggling?
Yeah.
I'm holding it in because I just like Nathan. It looks like he's just, I don't know, he's falling apart. I don't know what's going on.
Well, all right. So I just burped before I started talking. I was like tasting it. And have you ever before, on times that you've thrown up, like you burp and there's something that you taste that was like something that you threw up before? I remember for like the longest time I knew that I was going to puke, because when I wasn't feeling that good and I thought I would burp and it would taste like eggs. And that was like when I was a kid, I ate eggs and I just like threw up.
So pretty much you're letting us know you're going to be puking during this.
I don't know. It's
Like the
weird.
talking about the plot of Monster Squad just got Nathan ready to just throw up right there on the spot.
No, modern Hollywood makes me do that. But yeah. No, I just I finished that and I was just like I'm teetering, man. I'm in between. I don't know where this is gonna. I think we might have a first by the end of the show and be like, guys, and then
You're like, oh, give me a bucket.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here feverishly trying to click off everything and mute it and get over there. Tyler, you were the one that showed me this film. When was?
I think it was summer 2007. I think after it had just come out on DVD.
Yeah, so it's weird to think that was 11 years ago. But when was the first time that you saw it? Was it something you rented?
Yeah, it was elementary school. I think it was in 4th grade, and when my granddaddy had come to visit, one of the first things he asked me is, "Tyler, you ever seen the Monster Squad?" I'm like, "No, I never heard of it." It's like, "Oh, you got to see it." So that Saturday, he took me out to King Video, and that was the only thing we rented was to go out and see the Monster Squad. And I was always apprehensive about stuff I've never heard of. Like in my own mind, like I know what's good. I don't need anybody telling me what's good.
Damn, nothing's changed, huh?
Well, granted though. When my granddad had taken me to the video store like 3 times in my life, and he was with when I saw Return of the Jedi and Problem Child for the first time. Like he took me and I rented those. I rented one of the He-Man tapes. Of course, I'd rented that millions of times anyway. But Monster Squad was his idea. Got the video store. I saw the cover, looked pretty damn impressive, and I went home and me and my brother popped it in.
Which cover was it on the VHS? Was it the one
It's the movie poster.
All right,
the movie poster art.
Yeah, you know who to call when you have ghosts. But
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that was pretty impressive. Like with the monstrous faces in the sky, artwork like that. When you've got the villains' faces in the sky, I don't care if it's a comic book, a movie poster, a painting of some kind. It just adds a lot more terror to what you're trying to sell in a movie poster. And having the kids look serious, like they're ready to kick some ass, instead of doing the whole like Disney Channel bullshit. You know, where they're all looking and trying to be silly at the same time, and they got a goofy ass monster hanging. They're like, no, this is, and I, always give credit where credit is due, and I thank God that Fred Decker and Shane Black did not shy away from. It's one of the things about the '80s. Like we do this podcast about mainly '80s based stuff not just because it was better back in our day, but because movies they weren't ashamed or afraid to do things, and. Depicting the kids as actual kids, they cuss, they bust each other's balls, and it doesn't sound like it's hand-fisted dialogue. It talks all of them, from Rudy to Sean to Horace or / Fat Kid, everything. The language was there. The villains were serious and everything. So when I first saw it, I was taken aback in like a good way. Like, oh my God, like the opening sequence in Dracula's castle when you see the bride of one of the brides of Dracula chewing on a rat. Blood all over her face, like, oh my God, and then it just took off after that. I found a lot of the monsters to be creepy, but not like, oh my God, this is scary. It was just like, wow, man, this is some serious stuff. And we rented it religiously quite a few times. I loved the song at the end of the movie. I thought Rudy was the badass of badasses, and I thought Sean was cool because he's the leader of the group. I thought all the interpretations of the monster, because I was a big fan of the Gill Man as a kid, so it was so cool to see the Gill Man represented in the movie. And it's I'm so thankful to see that it has transcended, in my opinion, of being a cult classic and being a massive hit with horror movie fans and fans of films of the 80s, because it's I think it's larger than life thanks to home video, and people are so avid about talking about it and letting them know that they've done artwork or customized figures or stuff like that, and doing screenings. So it's a legendary film, and I'm thankful that it's become as popular as it has, because damn it deserves it, even though it flopped in theaters.
Yeah, I
didn't get that. You're right. I remember seeing it in the theaters back then, but not many of my friends.
That was the last time Joe saw it.
And that's the last fucking time, and just gone, just a fart in the wind. Like, yeah, it was great. No, it hasn't. Like I said, it's been probably about 5 years.
I'm so jealous of you, Joe, that you went to the theaters and actually saw a lot of these movies because I as a kid I never got to really go to the theaters as much. My parents were more like, well, yeah, let's rent them, let's record them off of HBO sort of thing. So anytime we did go to the movies, it was always like a special treat for me. But there's a lot of stuff that I wish I would have been able to go see. But it's kind of cool too because I'm like, well, I saw RoboCop 2 with my dad in theaters, so that's kind of neat.
No, it is. I mean, it's always fun when you go to theater for some things, and I just always remember anytime we would see a horror movie, it was always at the drive-in. That's how we seen the horror movies. Regular movies, we'd go into the theaters, but for a horror movie, it's just the atmosphere at nighttime. It fit the movie. It fit the tone.
People making out in the cars beside you, and you're over there trying to take a peek.
Now,
Just like, what they doing, Daddy?
Yeah, like 8, 9 years old. What's that? Why is she popping up and down? Oh, nothing. She's just doing some exercise. Watch the goddamn movie. Okay.
Janish, if you can find a picture of people making out in the back seat of a car, and then put Joe's mask just like in the window peering in.
Yeah, that'd be great. But no, we would, like I said, we'd go to the drive-ins, and there's still this one. It's the same drive-in that exists. Actually, is still not gone, and it's still around here. But I remember before the movie would start, because they usually sometimes do a double feature. There was this big, like, I don't know if you want to call it merry-go-round, carousel, whatever, this thing that you'd have, like, at a park, you grab and you'd run in a circle and spin on. And I remember we'd, like, play on that. There was a couple swings. Then we'd come and we'd get into the car. And we'd, of course, bring in all your food. You didn't have to buy food in there. So we had all our food and sandwiches and snacks. And damn, it was just fun. So that's how I seen Monster Squad that long ago.
That's awesome.
But,
that is awesome.
And I also miss, like, we say it so many times, but why is it that they don't do painted like type art covers for posters, VHSs, anything to advertise movies?
Because it's easier to just pay some shitty intern that's good at Photoshop.
And it sucks. It's just like, it feels like it has no life. It's just bland. It's like there's nothing to it. But these painted ones, it can draw you into any movie. Even if a movie, let's say, hypothetically sucked back then, it's still just somehow it's like, damn, this looks cool. So I miss those covers. And yeah, that movie, the only person I didn't flip over in it was, I've never been a person that got a kick out of a mummy. I mean, even though,
I knew you were going to say that. When you said it, I was like, it's got to be the Mummy.
And it was. And I've never been a mummy guy. Maybe one time on an Amazing Stories, that series that was on, they did a version of a mummy because there was a guy who was an actor who was trying out for a role of a mummy, but then Ra Amin Ka actually did come to life, so there was like a real mummy. And I remember he kind of freaked me out. But mummies in general, I used to think the same thing. I was like, just unban that sumbitch, or he's just decaying. But otherwise, everything was great in it, to seeing Frankenstein and Dracula, and Frankenstein kind of being the good guy and you're feeling bad for him, what happens at the end. And I like you get that sympathy, just the thought about the Wolfman, a guy that now he just like, lock me up, he wants to be locked up. I mean, that almost makes you feel sympathetic for that guy. It's like, you turn into this, well, Wolfman, this creature, and you're going to kill or do something. It's like, what a curse that would be, out of all the monsters that have the curse of being a wolfman, and you don't want to do this, and you basically, you'd probably want to die. But I never understood why the movie flopped, because, again, I had some friends I talked to back then about it, but not many did. I said, you didn't see it? Nope. And I still don't know why. Why did that movie flop? What was so bad about it? Who wouldn't want to see all of, like you said, your classic horror monsters all together in a one movie? Even though, like adults, I'm sure adults were seeing the preview thinking, oh, it's a kiddie movie, but you still think some adults would remember, I remember Frankenstein and Dracula and Wolfman, and it might intrigue them, but...
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of interesting, because I am looking it up here, too, and it only made $3.8 million. How
much did it cost to make that movie?
$12 million.
Oh, no kidding. God, it really did. Oh, was that bad?
I think the biggest problem was they did not know how to advertise it. And that, like, same thing with The Princess Bride. They didn't know how to, as a horror movie, as a comedy. Same with Princess Bride. Is this a comedy or is this a fantasy drama? And it's when you got a movie that's American Werewolf in London. Of course, that made money, but that's another movie where the studio was afraid to greenlight it because it's too scary to be a comedy or it's too funny to be a horror movie. So when you got those mixes and they're always the best films. These films that throw in good humor, but the tone is consistent of making it a serious movie. Like the Monster Squad has got jokes in it, but the tone never strays away from these kids learning that these monsters are here, they're killing people, and they're taking it seriously. It's not played for laughs. It's not tongue in cheek. And I think that was the biggest reason. I think that's what I remember from the documentary is that they did not know how. I think it was TriStar that released the picture because it's released through like different distribution companies now on like home video and stuff. But I think they just did not know how to advertise it because it looks like for kids it might be too scary for kids, but not probably too kiddie for adults. But I mean, obviously we're all grown adults here. I don't think we're enjoying this movie strictly on the bounds of nostalgia. It's a very well written movie. Great special effects with some of the guys with Stan Winston's company doing the creatures and stuff like that. So it just probably was one of those things. The studio's like, I don't know what to do with it.
I guess not, because like ASP in the chat room, he said some people said it was seen as a ripoff of Goonies, but you know, I never thought that. Like, I
never thought that either.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that anyway, because to me it's apples and oranges. It's just two completely different. Like these are kids in Goonies trying to save their house, and they're going on a treasure hunt. Where this is just a group of kids with a club that are going against monsters.
I love that. I mean, I was not a big sucker for them, but I just have always loved movies where, as well, obviously probably because when I was a kid growing up, I was almost around the same age as some of the people in the shows. But from when you think about it, when you think about, you know, Stand By Me, and a lot of those movies were kids and it was some kind of adventure or banding together and having a bond and doing some kind of quest, adventure, whatever it may be, or fighting together. Those are movies that I've always loved seeing. I've always liked those, but I never seen that. I mean, he said maybe it's something where people would think.
But I mean, maybe that's how they did advertise it.
They could have. I mean,
like the TV spots and trailers could have made it seem like the Goonies,
sure.
And someone just be like, "Oh, well, it's the Goonies. I've already seen that."
Yeah, because I see what he's saying. I definitely see what he's saying, and maybe that is what people said back then. But me, it's like I welcomed all those movies. Anytime it was an adventure or something, whether it was kids going to look for treasure or if they're fighting against monsters, I ate that shit up, you know.
But I mean, we have to remember too. There's so many great films from the '80s that bombed. You know, you look at some of John Carpenter's classics, like The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China. Both films, like, you know, I've heard they blame The Thing flopping, and some people just hated the film, thought it was awful. Big Trouble in Little China is one of those films, like it's an off the wall, out there action, sci-fi, fantasy, film. It's kind of hard to market something like that, even though it's a masterpiece. All the films I just mentioned are all masterpieces, but they were all bombs because they were not just the straight and narrow path of a very basic horror movie or a basic kids film. And it's a shame that studio execs back then are just, I don't know why people were dumped all over the thing back then. But for Big Trouble and the Monster Squad, I'd like, if you're a studio exec watching this, I'm like, why not market the Monster Squad as a horror film? It's got kids in it, but there's no sex and heavy violence in it. I'd still say market it as a horror movie instead of trying to play it up for laughs. Like, these kids are up to some adolescent hijinks and Dracula's here too. I don't know. It's just I don't know what they were thinking, but I feel like that's probably the mindset.
And it is,
and a lot of great movies just get overlooked for whatever reason. I mean, the '80s. Look how much competition was in the '80s with music and toys and cartoons and movies. Everybody's churning out ass-kick properties left and right, and like me, Nathan said yesterday, some of them are going to get left out.
Right, you're right. I think there's just so many that you're right. They focus on one main movie, and the others just kind of get lost in the shuffle. But I guess that's what's great about home video back then with VHS, and along with then it would be on TV, is people seeing these movies like, wow, I didn't know about this, or, oh, this is a lot better than I thought. I thought this was going to be terrible. Like, we think, Willy Wonka. Real quick, one more thing, like Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka, people, I guess, they said they hated that. Like, when it came to the theater and it got bad reviews and nobody wanted to see Willy Wonka, look how celebrated Willy Wonka is now. Mm-hmm. And people treasure that damn movie. But go ahead, Nathan.
I'm just going back to Tyler's point, man, because I was watching on Netflix, CNN does these documentaries about decades, and I was watching the one on the 90s, and it was the section with music, and I didn't really think about it then, but thinking about it now, just how many popular artists there were in different genres. So it's like, here's a little bit of something for everybody to absorb and to like and to cross over with. And thinking about it now with films and how popular video stores were, anybody, it seemed like anybody could make anything and get it in the store, and people could. There was just so much to absorb, and I feel like, as odd as it is to say, with the internet, everything can be obtained, but it really feels like these last, I'll say, 20 years, there's not, especially musically, when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it might still all be out there, but everything to me sounds the same. I don't know if it really is that different, and kids are looking at it how we looked at this stuff in our time, but I don't know.
Well, music even today. I mean, come on, no one's. We didn't grow up when the Rolling Stones were hot and new. We didn't grow up when Jimi Hendrix was popular. We were not full grown adults when 80s hair bands. I mean, Joe was older than us, of course, but we were not like adults. Though that kind of music is still like leaving marks continuously. Like music today, it's not going to leave that. They transcend, like Michael Jackson, your Princes and stuff like that. Those guys, artists and bands like that, transcend popular culture and leave their mark on music. Music today, it's just what's popular at the moment. Much like in movies, I feel like movies, superhero movies, Fast and Furious and stuff like that, and movies about possession, that's what's popular in horror. And move on to the next thing. Whereas at least somewhat in the 90s and of course in the 80s, you've got a mixed bag of everything. I mean, just there's something, and there was that. If it flops in theaters, you got home video. Then movies can make more money on home video if they flopped in theaters, or double the money on home video. Now you've got to buy it, or that's it, or it's sold to Netflix or Hulu or Video Man or something like that. I just kind of feel like there's that second option for films if they get ignored in theaters. But there was something for everything, like Joe said. But now it's just whatever's currently popular. I feel like that's the mindset of our culture right now. Like there is nothing we don't have a wide variety. Even though you go to the theater, you've got 9-10 movies to choose from, but it doesn't really feel like it's some stuff you've never seen before. The horror movies are kind of all the same. The action movies are kind of the same. The comedies, they're all the generic cookie cutter, cheap humor, trash. You occasionally would get something good in the mix there, but I just feel
or
like
it's a
everything
remake,
is
or it's a remake.
It's all flavors of the month. I feel like that's how entertainment has been. And it goes from music, it goes from movies, television. I mean, but thankfully stuff like Netflix, where you get like Stranger Things and Daredevil and things like that, you can make an impact through that. But,
yeah, it's not to say that it's all lost cause. There are still things that are out there, but it does seem like the vast majority of stuff these days is just very bland.
It's safe.
Yeah, it's safe. That would be the better word, safe and bland. Just take chances. Like if someone pitches you like just a crazy ass idea, like go with it. You put the right people behind it. It could easily be successful. There we go. Because it's like, all right, when we move on to Once Bitten, it'll get said like it's just a fun. I miss the vampire, like the good vampire craze in the 80s. We haven't really had that. I mean, I was saying this to Emily last night when we were watching it. I said that exact same thing, and she was like, "Yeah, but Twilight." And I was like, "Fuck you, shut up."
What did she say that with that like knowing she's going to deliver to get you going?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. All right. At least she wasn't.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Emily's not the kind of girl that would enjoy those piece of shit films. Which, it's a shame because that has done nothing for the reputation of vampire films.
Yeah.
But man, they've become a joke again.
Think about just how the genre was back in the 80s. All right, Monster Squad, Fright Night. I should have more examples of things just coming to my head that were just weird.
After Dark.
Yeah,
or Near Dark. Excuse me, not after Near Dark.
And it transcends vampire films too. You brought up Big Trouble in Little China. Like that movie's just all over the place, but it's awesome. Like just they need to go back to that and honestly stop relying so much on superhero films and remakes, especially. Some stuff I think should be remade, but man, you just new ideas, please. Like, god damn, it's just it's just so safe now.
Remember, there was talk of doing a remake of Monster Squad too. I remember in 2010, out of the late 2000s. I thought, son of a bitch, man. I just it's another movie that's brightened up for the kids, instead of it being what it should be. You know how teenagers are written today. I don't know how. Well, of course, when you see teenagers out in the open, they act like a bunch of damn goose. Of course, they probably thought we did too. But you almost kind of feel like there's not that. I don't know. I don't want. I feel like high school life has not changed. I don't think it'll ever change. So I'd assume most teenage boys, teenage girls, they all act the same. They all talk the same. They just use different slang and terminology as opposed to what we use. But the basics of that social structure is still there. So it needs to be in films today. Like It. The It remake was a prime example of it's taking place in 1989. They're depicting kids the way they should be acting. Foul mouth. They're talking sex. They're trying to one up each other.
It's a balancing act, because if you go one way, it's just sort of cringy, but if you go the other way, then it's like, well, that's not realistic. Speaking of Stephen King novels turned into movies that get remade after a period of time, I know Joe probably didn't watch it, but Tyler, did you check out the Pet Sematary trailer?
Yeah, I was pretty flatlined about it. I was kind of.
They're making another Pet Sematary, or they're no, it's a part 3, or I didn't.
No, it's a remake. It's an actual remake. Yeah. Which it was greenlit after it was such a giant hit, and I thought, okay, if this is what they're going to go for. All right.
Well, don't tell me nothing, but I want to say one thing.
I'm not telling you.
I bet you. No. I was going to say one thing. No, I was going to say one thing. I bet you I guarantee they won't have the balls to have the little boy. They won't have him get killed, and he won't be that young. You won't probably see that.
I don't know. Gage is pretty little in the movie.
Do you think they're going to have him get killed?
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought they were going to try some different little angle, because I was like,
no, but it just. And I talked to Jordan, who listens to the podcast some too, and he just had listened to the audiobook of Stephen King's because he was just curious about. And I asked him, I said, because the trailer depicts stuff that I said, are they going? Some of the stuff may be in the book that was not in the original film, because I'm more of a movie guy than a book guy, but I always appreciate the source material. And he said there was like vague moments that he could remember of kids being depicted in that you see in the trailer. Nathan probably knows what I'm talking about. People who listen to this, because I kind of just, it didn't feel like it was going to be that impactful. Like I was really expecting a trailer much like It, where you're not expecting much because it's a remake. You're not sure, but the trailer was so damn good. And with this, I'm expecting that same type of quality. And it was.
It seemed more like a teaser than an actual trailer to me.
I got no excitement from it. Even John Lithgow sounded very just
bored.
Yeah. Which I'm like, God, that was one of the selling points for me of seeing John Lithgow play Judd Crandall. I'm like, I know he's not Fred Gwynn in terms of playing Judd Crandall, but I just expected to have a much more, or see more presence, and the trailer was just.
Yeah.
I just can't see that little boy, like doing the role that Miko Hughes did, because that little kid, he was a scary little fucker in that movie. I mean, remember, he was in, New Nightmare also, and he's just he did a good job. He's a scary looking kid, but in that Pet Sematary,
he was an asshole in Full House. I remember that a lot.
Yeah, he always was a little prick on that show.
Oh God, I didn't remember that. But well, at least from the horse.
And a penis and a vagina from Kindergarten Cop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I said, he's a good little actor, but he played a scary little role, and that's a hell of a thing for a young kid to do. And I just can't picture whoever this new kid's going to be, whatever age. I just don't see him being able to do it. But you never know.
Well, speaking of little kids, one element in Monster Squad that if you're looking at it at face value, you're for certain that it's probably not going to work. But Phoebe is very charming, and that was one of the elements that rewatching it again, I was a little apprehensive about, because I was like, and she is. Like, is this as good as I remember when I was watching it with Tyler? I'm like, yes, it still holds up.
Good job.
Yeah.
Because anytime you have that little kid character, it's normally just in there as like a
background, forgettable, annoying little kid. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, you're right. It was important. I mean, her friendship with Frankenstein, and at the end, her being the virgin and not the other girl, but her, and when scary German guy, helped her read through the diary and everything. to say that to have the monsters go away. She was a good little actor.
I mean, I'm gonna admit there at the end when she's like yelling for him and he's like going through.
That part was
it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I don't know if tears are starting to well up or not, but it's certainly making me sad.
And I know that that's what they intended it for. I remember in the documentary, like Fred Decker said, if this scene doesn't work, it kills the movie, and it did. Like you just, even though you got so many characters you're trying to balance out in this movie, and they do it well. I don't feel like anybody got shortchanged. I do wish I could have seen more of the Gill Man, but I had no complaints really. So to have this emotional connection that goes throughout the film, it's not there the whole time, but damn it, man, when Frankenstein is thrown away and scraps gets thrown to him and Phoebe's crying, you're like, son of a bitch, man. He's like, why can't Frankenstein stay? Damn it. So
and it's all thanks to her performance. She made all of that work. And if they were to remake that, I don't think whoever they would cast in her role would
it'd be some brat kid that was on a Disney Channel special or some shit like that. And another thing that I like too, because the behind the scenes was pretty good, and I like knowing what the real reactions were in films. And when I can't remember his last name, but Duncan, who plays Dracula, when he picks up Phoebe, like she didn't know he was going to hiss at her. So when he hisses at her, that's her real reaction. I'm like, God, that was to know that you as an actor, you're going to hiss at this young girl to get a genuine scare out of her. I'm like, I love hearing that about behind the scenes stuff. Like, it's just because you really, that's why I would love to be on the set of a good movie, maybe even a piece of shit B film too. But just knowing that what actors have to go, I'm fascinated by that, about whole improv or staying in character. Like Tom Noonan, who played Frankenstein, stayed in character the whole time. Like he wouldn't acknowledge the kids as, the actors' names or anything. He just stayed in character the whole time. And I'm like, I can appreciate that because you want your presence on screen to come across as sincere, and you want the actors to be able to react based on your performance, so that way they come through so much more natural and sincere. And you don't get that in movies. Everyone's jerking each other off in between takes and stuff like that.
No, you're right. That hiss was a hell of a thing because beyond knowing, like you said right now, that was improv. It was for me when I'd watch movies back then. Usually they found a way of maybe working it around to where the big scary monster or creature would never like actually get a kid or do something, but when he was holding her, when he did that, it makes it that more frightening. Just
it does.
Gonna kill her and how he's trying to scare the living shit out of her. That shit, it does work because it usually you didn't see it much. So that's the other thing is I don't like about some remakes when you said if they would remake this movie or any of the others is, well, obviously they're going to change it up a little bit because it's like, oh, okay, I know what's going to happen here, and I can't feel that same impact or moment if you're going to try to recreate it, but now it's done in 2018 or 19. It's like it just loses all of its meaning and momentum and everything. Not to do a quick comparison, but the shitty Karate Kid remake they did. Just instantly knowing what this.
Joe, I want you to feel free to shit as much as you can. Drizzling shit all over it, all you want. I'll just sit back and let you go because I enjoy hearing people, tear apart Jaden Smith and his little whiny ass version of the Karate.
Well, problem one, it's kung fu and it's not karate.
That's what I kept telling everybody. They even say in the movie, "Ma, it's not karate, it's kung fu." Then why didn't you call it the Kung Fu Kid? Oh, I forgot because it's not gonna get his brand recognition. So let's just call it Karate Kid. Try a different version, having him go to China instead. And I was like, okay, so are we going to see a recreation of the crane kick in the impactful moment? It's going to
it's like that weird, spinny thing.
So they're like, okay, we're not going to have a crane kick, but we're going to have him deliver a kick that he was not even trained to do. Where the fuck did this kick come from? So they figured, hey, that's how we're going to get fans. Since he's not going to recreate the crane kick, let's just have him do some shit out of nowhere where everybody goes, wow. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, it wasn't wow. It's like, oh, that was your impactful, goofy, confusing, stupid, shitty kick. It's like that movie just fuck it. It's like, no, don't call that Karate Kid. Call it the Kung Fu Kid and take your chances with it. But no, you can't do it. Everything, like it said, everybody wants to piss and shit on everything in the 80s as how you guys were saying, as we'll talk about later tonight on Fans of Power. But isn't it funny that everything that's being remade is shit from the 80s, from the cartoons to the TV shows to the movies? It's like it seems like they're really recreating a lot of stuff from the 80s since it's such a shitty time, then why even touch it? Oh, yeah, I forgot. You guys don't have your own imagination, can't create your own shit, and don't want to take the risks. People will say, fuck off with your stuff because it's garbage. But,
I feel like
Joe.
I feel like that was just a teaser.
oh,
If you-
yeah. But,
If you want to hear more of this kind of Joe, tune in tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern for Fans of Power.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I think part of it is just they know that it's a good way to drag in the mass audience. Like, oh, hey, I remember that. And people don't. I feel like obviously the majority of people are not on the internet like looking at like Geek Tyrant or Joe Blow or any of those movie news sites and just be like, yeah, no, that sucks. They'll just be going and seeing like the new Medea movie and when the trailers are rolling, because it happens all the fucking time. Tyler, how many times have we gone to the movies and a shitty trailer plays and you hear people laughing at just like dumb, like terrible jokes. I even brought it up one time when they were doing that. I was like, don't laugh at that.
Yeah, like when Amazing Spider-Man came out, which I don't care. I love Andrew Garfield's both his Spider-Man films, especially the first one. We're playing a trailer for Pitch Perfect, and I'm like, oh god. And I remember like it was a decent crowd. It was like 4th of July, and there was a few people laughing in the theater at the like all the fat jokes by that girl, the big girl that's in all this Pitch Perfect.
Rebel Wilson, I think.
Yeah, where she's just like, oh, I'm gonna run horizontal. Oh, it's funny. And then when the trailer was over, Nathan got up, don't laugh, it ain't funny. You know, and Jordan was up front with his girlfriend. I heard him laugh down there, and we started giggling. Some other people started giggling too, so it was nice to hear people say, don't laugh at this shit. You know,
but I mean that's the thing. So it's probably pretty easy. It's like, all right, we'll remake this. These people will remember, and they can take their kids, and it'll be new, fresh experience, and it'll be better than that one because that one, the special effects in that weren't as good. And now we can make it better, and it actually looks worse.
It does. It's like you're right. Make your own fucking movie. Then I've always said that's like if you guys are so confident in your writing, do your own movie. Because remember, our stuff was all shit. They supposedly have all the imagination, the creativeness. Then they should take a chance and just call it something else. Instead of saying, yes, it's like yours, but different. If it's so different that it's not like ours, then yes, it's not ours and shouldn't even be called that. And yes, JSP, I am going to bring up something about Melinda Britt tonight, obviously. Yeah, that is going to be part of the show tonight.
Yeah, we're going to celebrate the hell out of that beautiful woman.
Yes, so, yes, us sexist guys who grew up loving She-Ra and have kept it alive for over 30 years and celebrated it. Yes, we're talking about us sexist guys. So we'll bring that up. Yeah, if we're fucking sexist, why would we have been there from the beginning and keeping it alive in all these groups and pages for 30 years plus? But we're going to get back to Monster Squad now.
I want to ask you guys, too, just see, this is another thing that what makes sets this movie apart, especially from other kids' films, is the level of gore in this movie. Like, the violence and the kills and the gore are not, for a PG-13 movie in the 80s, I mean, like, when the Wolfman blows up, comes back together, people are being mauled left and right. I mean, you don't see gut stuff, but the implications, like one of the, I think, most frightening scenes for me in the movie, and I watched it this day, I'm like, that's pretty messed up, is when Dracula's talking to the Wolfman and saying that, I'm going to slip away to have something to eat while you slip into something more comfortable, walks down the hallway and opens that door, and those 3 girls are in white robes, obviously throwbacks to the original Dracula, that knowing that they're locked in there, and he's going to one at a time bite one, the other 2 watch, bite 2, the last one watch. It's like, that's messed up, man. In a confined space, like, I don't have to see that. That's scary as hell, and I feel bad for all 3 of those beautiful girls. I'm like, that's messed up, dude. And that's ballsy, man. That's kick-ass horror at its finest. You don't see it, but you know what's going to happen. You're like, oh my God, man.
It goes back to the thing that we always talk about on Capes and Commentaries that gets brought up. Less is more. You don't have to hammer us over the head with the plot and have characters talk about what's going on. I know what's going on. I'm watching the movie. Like, just little hints like that too. Like you said, something like that makes it way scarier. And you didn't even see anything,
Right.
So
and you didn't have to. That's the thing with some of the movies, like you said, where it's a kid movie, but also like let's say with fantasy and creatures and things. Some of them, you're right. It's like loaded with so much comedy. You're not really there feeling scared at any point. But this movie, it has little sprinkles of things that, oh, okay, I get a little joke, or Wolfman's got nards, kick him in the nards. Frankenstein, taking a picture, and of course, getting a picture of the girl, that's undressing. It's funny, but it doesn't distract from the movie to where it takes you out of the element of any point of when there's something that's there to get you scared. You were scared, and it's ballsy, and it's something that you really don't, like Tyler said earlier, it's something you don't see nowadays anymore. But I wish you could. I wish you could still be scared in the movie, because you think anytime they will do a movie nowadays, it's more of, okay, here's a scary guy, but how many damn jokes can we throw into this movie just to make you laugh? And you never feel fear, in fear or fearful anytime. You're just always feeling comfortable, like laughing, like, okay, I feel safe. Okay, this is okay. Oh, that's kind of scary, but no, but I'm laughing too much. I can't be scared.
Thank God we're having someone else, or both you guys too, are like pushing the fact that the humor is just, it's oversaturating entertainment today. I mean, who the hell is in Hollywood feels like we can't make horror movies? We have to make comedies, everything, but just put monsters in there. But it's a comedy. Make an action movie, it's a comedy. A giant shark movie, it's a comedy. Everything is a damn comedy nowadays,
and not even like good comedy.
Yeah, all the jokes are like substandard. It's the equivalent of fart jokes. Or
jokes. It's just it's
or
like
pot humor. Like, it ain't funny. It's cheap. It's like no one's trying to write a good witty script.
Well,
and yet you got the Medea crowd going there like, oh, he's high because he had a pot brownie. My God, where do they come up with this stuff?
And that's what ruined the Transformer films. That's for sure.
God, son of a bitch.
Joe, you mentioned before on previous shows that you and your friends would always reenact certain things from movies and stuff. Did you guys ever have like a club?
I tried that in elementary school.
Well, I was gonna say, I was gonna ask, were any of you guys? Did you try to form a club of some kind? What was it?
I don't want to say this because now that you said it, a flash came into my head. It is the dumbest thing ever. We loved Ghostbusters so much, and me and two of my buddies. This is going to be so stupid. It made no sense. We drew up pictures of ice cream cones in that symbol of like the Ghostbusters thing, and we called ourselves the Cone Busters. And we would take these and stick them on trees and poles because in our neighborhood for a short period of time throughout the summer, there was a lot of kids that were like smashing ice cream cones out of like other kids' hands. Anytime we went to ice cream truck, these like dipshits would be around and smack them. And I remember we'd get ours and try to run, but we were like, if you don't feel safe in your ice cream and you want somebody to help you, call the Cone Busters. It was so fucking stupid.
At first, I'm like, where the hell is this going? But no, I like that idea.
So
protection agency.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were basically the APA of
one kid,
ice cream.
One time, me and my two buddies, one time helped the kid, but it was just the stupid things you do when you get into something. Oh my God, I haven't thought of that in over 30 years.
Did you put a phone number on your flyers too?
We did a 555 fake number, so we never got a call. But
it's probably why you didn't have any damn business.
Well, exactly, because it was a fake number. But within the neighborhood, when we'd hear the ice cream truck, we'd usually go up because we would get stuck.
You guys would just go and cross your arms and just stand there and just
we went up to get our ice cream and then also wait. And then sure enough, those one punk asses came the one time, and we did. We stopped them. We were scrappers back then. Like you said, you just had balls, you did shit, and you were a kid.
Like Joe and his buddies are like the greasers and the outsiders. Like they're all slicking their hair back, walking around with like black t-shirts with cigarettes on their sleeve, and standing there, give me a bomb pop. Hey kid, we got your back here. You get that dreamsicle.
Well, no shit, because those punks were ones we usually would have issues with, but bet your ass they never did come to that location, that spot, no more.
Because that's the Cone Busters territory. We don't go down that street.
God, I wish I still had.
Have you seen their flyers?
What's funny? I wish I still had one of those little flyers because it was like on these square, almost like little Post-it notes, and I still have a lot of pictures of other things I drew up. I don't have my Cone Buster thing, but I still have those.
I mean, you can just redo it, man. Get back in the business.
Reboot it.
Reboot it.
It'll be like in John Wick, where it's like
we thought he left the business, but he's been drawn back in.
The cone
So Joe
busters-
goes down to his basement or the floor where he's at right now and digs up out of the ground the cemented like notebook paper flyers.
Yeah, no, but pick the flyers and then like his black t-shirts and his
And
cigarettes.
gets like his candy cigarettes and rolls them up his sleeve and just starts hanging out around the street corners with the mask on.
Exactly.
All right,
Pull him off sleeve, pack.
Well, all right, Joe.
Make sure you got the John Wick score playing with you at all times. You know.
My God.
What happened with those guys? They showed up and I mean,
They were ready to mess with this one kid, and that's when me and my three buddies, because there was about 4 of them. I think it was about four. Yeah, let's think about 4 of those guys, and we did. We had a fight. But me and my buddies, we won, and they never came back to that spot. But they were punks at school, so we always kind of like would watch each other, because at school you never want to get in a fight because you're afraid of getting suspended and then,
and getting backed up on homework.
No, really, and getting behind on homework, getting your parents disappointed. So that was your time. But sure enough, in that area, because like I said, we had 3 good areas we always went through the neighborhoods of me and my 2 buddies. It was like surrounding. But my one buddy's area, never there again. And ice cream truck never came too much around my area. I think it's because we always ran and we would jump on the back of it and we'd get a ride. Or if it was, we'd have like, well, I'm sure.
God, you're even cheap back then, man. Let's get him out of the back of the ice cream truck.
But it did, and then they would start catching on and get pissed. So we'd sneak, and we'd sometimes have our little scooters or something, and we'd get back and we'd hold the bumper so we'd get a free ride going pretty far.
God,
and
man.
Skitching, man, he's skitching it.
It's called what?
Skitching.
Oh, I didn't know.
I know. It just reminds me of that Sega Genesis game. It's like Road Rash, but with rollerblades. But you can grab onto the back of cars and like hang on. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you had any kind of thing with wheels, and I think after a while, they just quit coming through because they knew us kids would keep doing that.
Them cone busters are a lot. They're up to them shenanigans and goings ons, and there's a lot of riffraff down that street.
Like those damn kids.
Cone busters.
Cone busters. Thanks for making me remember that. It's been so goddamn long. I haven't thought of that since I was a kid. But
Tyler, you said you started a group.
Oh, yeah, when I say that, I meant like at lunchtime trying to get my friends to start a Monster Squad. No one gave a shit.
Yeah, I never had anything like that either. I was never like a group. I think at most is honestly when we had the trampoline backyard wrestling thing. That was about the extent of that. And even then, none of us could really get along. So that didn't work.
And we didn't have the success with the cone busters.
Yeah.
I had a lot of high ambitions of having a clubhouse and talking monsters and stuff like that too. But nobody cared. So
there's still time, Tyler. We can start it now.
Yeah, we'll build a clubhouse in your backyard.
Yeah,
Emily can be the Phoebe.
Yeah. Well, that shit was
trying to hang out with us, guys.
I'm sure. Go ahead.
I don't have anything.
All right. But I remembered at least, if anything, there was like this one place we called. Well, it was like a little wooded area, and yes, we called it the woods. Duh. But we would go down there. We'd always have to stick together because going by ourselves, we feel scared. But we didn't like have wood to be building shit. So there was like this one kind of really weeded off area that we like cut and moved some of the brush, and it almost made like a hut. It almost reminded me of like where I went in Houghton Lake, on vacation, but it was bigger. And that's where we take in stuff and snacks and do shit, and like just being there is like that was our clubhouse. But we weren't like a club. It was just us and buddies and everybody else and little girls, at times, whatever. But it was it was a.
Oh, do tell Joe. What happened there with these girls?
Well, it's just shade.
Did they have to pass like an initiation to join the club there, Joe?
Just how things go. So, but it was kind of
like you got to give me a kiss on the cheek, and you got to like it. I picture this with little Joe and
Joe's out in the woods getting a blowjob.
Yeah,
it was also a makeout area. If it wasn't there,
right here,
buddies, you went to the woods. It was shaded off. Nobody could see.
Well, all right. So, like, when you guys are taking girls there, are you like, all right, well, we're going to go over here. Like, could they still see anything that was going on? Okay.
It was shaded, but, of course, you'd hear the crinkle to where somebody kind of come up. And you'd have to stop to make sure.
Or they're rolling around.
Yeah, but it's just kids have your little fun area when it's not at your house or something. You had something, and God, I see that place now, and everything looks so small now in comparison. Like I pass by and I still see that same area, and it just looks like God. It looks so vast and epic when we were kids, and when it's winter time, everything is visible, and But of course,
Yeah, so you guys weren't out there in the wintertime. It was mostly
no,
in spring
whatever
and
the
summer.
nope, just summertime. Summertime, it created all the foliage or whatever you call it, and
Yeah, you're creating something.
yeah, good times. Good
Joe
times.
looks at the street like, I lost my virginity back there.
Can you imagine those nice stories somebody has?
He probably goes by. It's probably like a nice heart carved on one of those trees, marking the day and the time, whatever her name was.
Yeah, isn't that great? I mean, some people have memories of their house and in a bedroom or somewhere nice, or maybe somebody went to even a hotel, motel. Where's yours, Joe? Oh, it's out there in the forest, in the woods. You put like a little blanket.
Oh man, I remember this girl that I was dating back in middle school. Across the street from my parents' house is a train station and a park. The train station's no longer in use, but back then, it was an actual in use. Hey, we're going to get your ticket, hop on the train kind of thing. Over on the side, it's just like a brick chimney, and it had a lot of etchings of initials and whatever. She's like, you gotta put our initials up there, because she was always like that. I was like, all right, fine, whatever.
Is this who I think it is?
Erica? Yeah.
Yeah. Probably like burping. Hey, you gotta put him on the.
Yeah.
She was a notorious burper, Joe.
Yeah, and she was always in the school plays, and that was annoying because I always had to deal with. I didn't get the lead part, and one time, legit, I was just like done with it. I looked at her and like, you ever think that maybe you're just not that good?
Oh wow.
Anyway, I was an asshole. I was an asshole back then. Tyler can attest to this. So I etch it in and everything, and then like years pass, and then the train station caught on fire. And
which was a sign of things to come.
Yeah, and then it's gone forever because they had to rebuild everything. And I was like, well, that's good. The end. There's my story. It's not much of anything. It's not fucking in a weeded area in the woods or anything. But
Untitled and newspapers, or okay, gotcha.
Joe would lay down and like the extra section and the funnies of the newspaper. Come on, baby, I thought you loved me.
It's the Sunday edition too, because the weekend editions are always.
It's got extra padding because it's a little bit thicker.
Well, yeah, and they got more of the sales papers in there.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit smoother. So Joe's like, hey, baby, I got the Sunday Times, man.
Not on Garfield, off to the side. I gotta read them comics later. God damn it.
Wait, so when you're done, you guys have something to do when you're done.
Yeah, you can read. Here's the fun is you read.
You're like, hey, patio furniture's on sale over at Hills. I'll be damned.
What coupons for McDonald's? This is the best.
Honey, are you hungry?
And that nasty ass coupon to the first line. Okay, what the fuck you been doing with this? It smells like ass.
Man, I think Netflix ought to like greenlight a series about Joe Amato's childhood. Like that'd be great, man. Bumping uglies on newspapers.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a reenactment of Joe with the mask and his T-shirt and cigarettes, just standing there, like waiting for those punks to come by and wanting to knock out ice cream out of someone's hands. It would be amazing. Between that and taking the books to the shitter and just all, like, Joe, you got so many good stories, man.
Yeah, all the hijinks that ensue and going to rent videos at a fish store. I mean, it's
what the hell of a time.
Yeah.
Good God.
Joe sounds like he's crying a little bit.
I think he's going through like a lot of nostalgia depression right now. It's like, God, those are some good days.
Good times, yeah. Damn it, kids don't know what they're missing with their texting and all their goddamn tablets and
their hula hoops, their Zima, their Pac-Man video games.
Their Atari's and God damn it. Okay, so what about Monster Squad? We touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit, but we haven't we're already an hour into
another
this.
Thing I want to throw into you guys too, because it's sprinkled like so many things throughout the way. But I always love the relationship that Sean has with his father.
Yeah,
like, you got the idea of the battered marriage, but Sean and his dad love watching horror movies together. And like when he says, I can't take it to go see it tonight, we'll go see it tomorrow night for, I think it was like Groundhog Day was the name of the horror movie.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, but they're going to spoil it. And that was a good thing because after that, he had the interaction with his wife. He's like, I got to go. And she's like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I have to. And it's like, here's a man who his marriage is kind of starting to fall apart, but like he needs his job, obviously. So he's like, I'm committed. I got to go. And I know you're about to bring it up, but it's honestly one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
It was when Sean's up there on the roof and he's watching it from the drive-in with his radio beside of him, and then his dad shows up with Burger King.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's
just
a
like,
great moment.
it shows
makes me
that
think of like watching movies with my dad too, because that was a big thing for me and my dad was watching movies together like that. So yeah, it's a good moment.
it was just a good way to show that it's like, even though a lot of stuff around him is falling apart, he's still very much committed.
He's a good father.
Yes, he wants to try to make it right as best he can, and that's very admirable.
Yeah, he's like that classic burnout cop. Like shows up with Burger King for his kid, he pulls out the cigarettes, and then he's watching too, and it just shows that things may be in the shitter, but they still enjoy watching horror movies together. And it's a moment like they take time for Sean to like, oh come on, I got to see this. Like it just kind of helps build and fleshes out these characters that they're going through the same things that a lot of teenage boys go through. That you're not old enough to see this, you can't go see it by yourself, and you're disappointed because you want to go see this, but your parents have got other obligations. You can sympathize with that, and knowing they're trying to make the best of the situation. Yeah, showing up with classic old school Burger King bags and like that's just a fun little scene. I like it a lot. Plus the mom in that, who was the mom in the Goonies, and she was in Lethal Weapon, and she's in a bunch of other Action Jackson. Well, she was a beautiful. I can't remember what her name was, and she passed away a few years ago.
JSP actually just mentioned her by name, Mary Ellen Trainor.
That's it. Yes, God, it just escaped me there. I always thought she was so pretty.
Thanks, JSP, for bailing us out sometimes on names of things. Because Joe and I are obviously shit at it, and Tyler's is still trapped, but even then, sometimes he forgets.
I'm not going to say that I'm perfect, but I do make errors there.
I just want to give JSP a quick little hard time, just in fun. Is Legal Weapon? Is that like a spinoff of Lethal Weapon? I don't know if I've ever seen that movie. Just fucking with you, JSP. We love you. God damn it, and thank you for that. The thing from PowerCon, that guide and everything. That was.
Oh yes. Wait, Joe, did you actually get one?
Yes, I told
one.
Well, when he said he was going to send something, I was like, wait a second. I said, is this something that's costing you money? I said, I want you to be sending something that costs you money. And he was like,
unless you're taking that money and buying something from Joe. Like if it costs you money that benefits Joe, you can send him anything you want, right, Joe?
Yeah, basically. No, but I told him, I said, if it costs money, I said, don't send it to me. He's like, no, it's free. I said, okay. I said, that's cool. Then I appreciate it. So I got it, and it was cool to see the artwork of Axel Jimenez on the front as an homage to Alcala and the cool stuff inside. But no, I appreciate it, man. It's a cool little thing that they
Yes, thank you very much. I haven't got Nathan his copy because mine, it came in the mail, I think, Thursday, So I haven't seen Nathan in person. Plus, with Nathan having to be kept in a plastic bubble probably for the next 48 hours, I probably won't get it to him.
No, I honestly, I'm starting to feel a little bit better now. I think the Sprite is helping. That's what
it was. Beyond Retro is like chicken soup for the soul. That's what Beyond Retro podcast is.
And honestly, when I'm kind of looking at myself, I'm talking like the color is starting to gradually come back into my face a little bit more. When we were talking about the dad thing just now, I don't know why this popped into my head, and people are going to be like, Nathan, like, what's going on in your brain? But I started laughing at myself because here is something as a kid, I thought I was the only one. And then that Comedy Central show Workaholics actually brought it up. And I apologize to our listeners in advance. I don't know what reaction is going to get out of you guys, but dad dicks. Look at all right.
What?
Huh?
It's basically, I probably shouldn't even have brought this up because they're like, what, dad dicks? When you were a kid, did you ever like, never caught a glimpse of your dad?
Nope, none, no.
All right.
No.
I'll have to send you guys the clip because it's weird as a kid, I guess, because they nailed it perfectly. I was like, yes.
Yeah, I ended up seeing both my parents in a less than desirable.
But I think I remember as a kid, like looking at mine and then remembering like seeing him naked. I'm like, that's a big dick. Just because you're a kid. Anyway,
I'm sure Nathan was like, Dad, you got a big dinger.
Yeah, probably. God, I was. Anyway, where do we go from there? Dad dicks. Hopefully, someone else has watched that clip from Workaholics and knows what I'm talking about, or just sort of.
What the hell does that have to do with Monster Squad?
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, we go to Once Bitten because we got to get on a different subject.
Well, all right. Any final thoughts on Monster Squad? before we move on to Once Bitten?
It's a movie that kids or adults, anybody could watch. I don't think that it has aged in the way of where people would say this didn't age well. I think you could still fucking watch this movie at any time in your life.
Damn right you can.
Yeah, and it's just a great ass movie. And from the heartfelt moments that you guys mentioned, which that's something you really don't even see that about heartfelt things brought in, sprinkled the stuff. Like until you brought that thing about the dad bringing that food on top of that roof, I forgot about that, and I was like.
Does it put you in the mood for Burger King now? Because you're always big on seeing food.
Pretty much. I'm hungry now. But it's something that didn't need to be there, but being put in there just made it a little that much more special. Yeah, it's appreciated, and it's something I don't see in modern stuff. It's like it's not really felt, it's not shown, and if it is, it's kind of blown off quickly. But that's stuff that they don't do no more. And I'm glad you brought it up. But yeah, great movie for any age.
Yeah, it's just a shame too that. Shane Black just cannot. I don't know what happened in regards to his writing style and things. Maybe he just fell into that train of the easy way to make money here. All right, here you go, and it's just sort of uninspired and lacking. But I haven't seen that new Predator film, so maybe it's not as bad as I'm thinking.
Don't even try to come up with like rational thought.
You never know.
You know what's in that movie. I know what's in that movie, and I'll never see that movie. Never, ever, ever.
I'll rent it in Redbox and bring it over.
Oh my
it comes
God.
out. We'll watch it.
Rest assured, I'll have a nice hangman's noose ready to go.
All right. So if you had a kid, you would be totally cool with it watching Monster Squad. I feel like I would wait for them to be just slightly older. I feel like too young would be too scary.
It's too young because I was watching Halloween when I was like 4 years old or something. So,
well, Joe grew up on the ghettos of parts unknown there. So you had to be tough. You had to have balls when you were 4 years old. Man, when Joe was 5 years old, he had a full-time job. That's the kind of mentality of parts unknown. So
I was like the Headleys on Haymon from In Living Color. I already had fucking like 8 jobs by then. The hardest working family, and yeah. Well, go ahead. Yeah, Nathan, what's a good age?
Wait, what?
What's a good age for a kid to watch? You said you're gonna bring.
I didn't hear the age part. It was just you said it so quick. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Man,
6.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6.
Oh, okay, 6 is good.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'd say about the same thing. I mean,
I
4
feel
or 5.
I feel like if I was 4 or 5, it would probably scare me. Like Dracula would be too scary for me.
Yeah, the Wolfman and the Mummy were also with Joseph. I thought the Mummy visually was creepy looking.
Yeah,
he doesn't talk. He just kind of creeps along.
Yeah, that was it's just a very good like mannerisms too.
Yeah.
And for a quick little mention to Who Dat Whale in the chat room, he said that his 3-year-old son Colston loves Monster Squad. So there you go, man. That's good.
Colston's got some balls big enough to come in the dump truck. Then he's gonna be all right.
That's right. Ain't shit gonna scare that kid. He ain't gonna be hiding in the corner or be like.
He'll be the guy, protecting kids who are going to lose their ice cream cones. I mean, if he's not already doing that in daycare,
Cone Buster remake.
Exactly.
Colston taking over for Joe.
That's right.
Joe hands him the notepad.
That's right, the notepad. Make your own logo, Colston. Let's see what you got.
All right. Move on to Once Bitten, I guess.
Once Bitten, yes.
A movie that I'm sure Tyler watches constantly and is just like, man, I wish this would happen to me.
Talk about getting dingers from some girls in there, especially Lauren.
I cannot tell you, man. When I first saw this movie, and I saw it on Showtime at Josh Rapp's house. He had it for free one weekend, and we caught it like halfway through. And this was during my Jim Carrey massive craze because Jim Carrey was larger than life in the 90s. I think most people know that. And seeing this, like, what is this? Another Jim Carrey movie? I've never seen this before. About vampires and he's trying to get laid? This is wonderful. And it's at that time where you're hitting puberty. So it was, I saw from the halfway to the end, and I didn't see it again, I think, until later on in the 6th grade when my dad lived in Roanoke, and there was a Blockbuster down the street from him, and we decided to go rent movies, and I'm like, I never seen Once Bitten to rent, ever. And and I just was renting that movie over and over and over again. And fell in love with Lauren Hutton immediately in that movie. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, I want Lauren Hutton to take me home. I don't care if she's a vampire or not. Just give me one shot and I'll give you my blood. I was so infatuated with the idea of being picked up by an older woman because, when when you're a kid and you going through all the pubescent emotions and thoughts, you're just going nuts looking for a release and stuff like that, knowing that she's voluntarily picking up this guy who's a virgin, and thinking like, wow, man, this is just, it was even when Jim Carrey walks up to the painting and starts to touch the boob, like that'd have been me. I'd have walked up to a painting, Lauren Hutton, and just and quietly try to touch it, and they do that in the shopping mall. But I think it's one of the best 80s comedies because it's all about, sex and vampires, and the humor's good. It's not dated, I don't think. I mean, they may think, the outfits are fun because it's the 80s. The music may be dated, but it was the 80s.
Oh, dude, I love that Once Bitten track. I was just singing it all of it.
All of it. I mean, all the music's catchy. Whether you think it's campy or not, it's still catchy. It's fun. Even the score to the movie. It's just it's a fun movie, and just nothing but just sex and vampire stuff all throughout everyone's having sex. I'm like, this is great, man.
That's honestly one of my favorite scenes there at the beginning. They're in the ice cream truck, and he thinks it's going to happen, and then dude knocks on the window.
Oh, I was going to say, does Joe remember what actor or character comes up to Jim Carrey's window asking for a creamsicle?
No.
Oh, my God.
Who is it? Like I said, it's been 7 years, but who?
Friday the 13th, Part 5.
Yeah, he doesn't remember.
Oh, my God, Joe.
Was it Joey?
Yes.
No shit, really? No shit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, damn. I didn't know that. I can't wait to now see it again just so I can know. All right.
But that is one of my favorite parts because he gets out of the ice cream and just everyone around him is having sex. I think it's funny that one shot where you just see that dude's ass just like bouncing.
He's giving it to her good. You got some pretty set of legs like flopping upside out, and that panning shot up, and every car in that parking lot is getting it on. And like that's how it felt for me when I around that age. Like everyone's around me having sex. I know it. So
but they weren't because
they weren't. It's just how your mind thinks. But it was just because Mark and both of his buddies, they're fun, relatable characters. They felt like they could be your buddies as well. And Jim Carrey's girlfriend in the movie, Karen Young, God, she's hot.
Well,
there's nothing but beautiful women in this movie.
See, that's the thing. Tyler, I'll put you on the spot. If you were in his shoes and she was wanting to, but not ready yet, but you were wanting to, and then here's this older lady, would you still just go through it and go through like how he went through it? Because to me, I wouldn't have done it. I'm like, I already have a beautiful girlfriend. Why would I mess this up?
Yeah, knowing me and my personality, I'm incapable of doing that kind of stuff to a good, beautiful woman. I cannot and will not do it. Believe me, the temptation definitely would be there, but my guilt and my personality, no. Plus, looking at Karen Young, like they kind of play her down a little bit, and as the movie progresses, she just gets more. She got a beautiful set of legs, like at the big dance off. She's all dolled up as.
I was gonna ask you about. Man. I was gonna ask you about that too, Tyler, because you are one that has always sort of been against certain things happening in films that sort of
like musical acts, but that worked. That music, band, that dance battle, that worked.
So all right, so you are okay with the dance battle?
I actually, that as a kid, that was one of my favorite scenes because both the girls, like Lauren Hutton in her outfit and her nylons, like she had these shapely legs. I thought the music was catchy. Yes, it's campy today, of course, but I still love the scene because Karen Young and Lauren Hutton are just absolutely stunning. I'm like, I want to be Jim Carrey. I want to be Mark, stuck in the middle of these two beautiful women fighting for my affection. Like, what guy would not love to have that? And you're doing it in front of the entire school while a band is playing. That makes you a rock star in high school and stuff like that. So it's a fun scene. I like it because you just wish, as a guy, you're like, you wish you were going through that kind of problem, but it's a blast, and it doesn't get talked about. Like it's not. I don't think people consider it an '80s staple. It's not talked about when Jim Carrey's catalog of films is brought up. It always talks about the '90s, and you'll get a Living Color. But Once Bitten is never ever talked about. It's just. I'm glad we decided to talk about it because it was a big part of my early teenage life because I rented it so much. I loved the score. I thought the music was catchy, and it just was very relatable. And if I had the risk of being turned into a vampire, so be it. But it was, what's that?
I was just saying real quick. I always thought that part of the, because you were asking Nathan about, would you, go for that, older woman, even though, you got your girlfriend here and, yes, you guys haven't gone through with what you want to yet. Would you go with the older woman? I always thought that, part of the Countess was like maybe it was that trance, it was the mesmerizing that
Oh,
was
yeah.
going too.
Yeah.
That, that was obviously part of it. But no, you're right. I mean, God, if I had that girlfriend, yeah, we weren't doing that, but somebody else asked, and it was a beautiful older woman. No, you're right. It's always faithful. That's the thing. You're faithful to your girlfriend. That's your girlfriend. That's the one who you love. But this one, yeah, has, different circumstances. And real quick, Tyler, did the woman that Karen Coppins or whatever who played his girlfriend, did she have a different name that she went by at one point? Because did you say Karen Young? Did she?
I could have swore I thought her name was Karen. Let me double check.
Because I thought it was Karen Coppins, but I didn't know
it may have been
because I know people have married maiden names. I didn't know if she had her name changed.
Well, a lot of actors and actresses change their screen names. Like Michael Keaton's real name is not Michael Keaton, for example.
What is his real name, anyways?
I think it's God. I want to say I think it's Michael Douglas actually.
No,
and he changed it because
Douglas?
of that. Yeah.
No, I got you.
Hang on here. I've got the facts up and stuff for it. 1 second.
I know that this movie used to come on USA all the time.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So that's the first time that
Karen, not Karen Young. Damn it. Yeah, it was Karen Hoppins. Joe.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, so it was Karen Coppins. Okay,
yes, just say that those headphones go down you already.
They have sprinkled left and right on the one, but okay, I just want to make sure it was Karen Coppins. Okay, you know what's weird is Nathan
Hoppins.
I thought it was with the K. If it was Coppins.
Oh God.
I just want to make sure somebody give it right in case somebody did watch this and they
because if any Deuce is going to come on and Hoppins, Karen Hoppins.
Oh, okay, all right, just okay, good. Well, thank you for correcting me because I thought it was a K, but you said it.
Yes, thank you for correcting me.
No problem. We double correct each other. And when Nathan was talking about watching this on USA, there's a movie, and God, I have not seen this on TV ever since. I don't know if it's ever been on VHS, DVD. I think it was called The Midnight Hour. I could be wrong, but I remember 2 years in a row when I was a kid, it was on always before Halloween. And it was a movie that was kind of different, kind of scary, but campy. But I don't know if I've ever seen it since. And when I bring up this Midnight Hour, which I think that's what it was called, everyone's like, what the hell is this movie you're talking about? And I think even LeVar Burton, I thought he played in it. So I don't know. I guess you guys don't know it either, and it makes me feel
no. It's I'm thinking like I have the box art up here in my head.
Oh, you might have had Midnight Hour or seen it?
No, I thought maybe in my head like the VHS cover or something. Like I've seen the cover for it before.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I said, I thought it was just on I don't know, on a couple of Halloweens, if that's what it was called. I don't know, but I thought it had LeVar Burton. I thought it did, but it just came into my head because you said USA.
Yeah, Dick Van Patten. It's not what I remember, but if you can.
So there was a Midnight. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And back when USA would just play random ass movies at all hours, up all night, and with Gilbert Gottfried and all that stuff.
Yeah,
man, what a good time! That between that and Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs, that was a good way to see like a lot of films that didn't really get talked about a lot. But it was cool to see Once Bitten on TV so much because I caught I think I caught it around the middle and watched it to the end. I'm like, well, I got to see the beginning. And of course, the next day, probably around the same time, it was playing again, if not later that day, because they did that shit a lot. They kind of still do.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we'll play this movie. We'll play it again 5 hours from now. And then tomorrow we'll play it again at the same time. It's fine.
That was always fun too, because USA would do that a lot. They would, play a movie on a Saturday, and then like Sunday afternoon they'd replay it again, or later that night. So that was always fun. And to know that Once Bitten was played on TV somewhat frequently. I ended up buying it though. I think at a Big Lots or maybe at a Blockbuster too, but it had a different cover on it though. And me and Matt Hilton would just watch it like constantly. We were infatuated because we were both Jim Carrey fanatics, and we just thought Lauren Hutton was so hot, and God, it was just such a blast. Cleveland Little playing Sebastian, he was hilarious in it.
Loved him from Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
And later on, I think he was in Fletch Lives. But I always loved his character. He
Yeah.
did some good movies. You're right.
He was, and the whole cast was fun. You know, I love Jim Carrey's buddies. I love it when they go to the phone a date, which I always thought was such a cool concept.
And then that guy shows up and it's like, you whore, pulls out a gun.
Pornographer. You know, it's just like, so you're Chester. You know, that was just the whole scene. And then when Ross calls up, you know, some girl and comes to find out it's a guy, and he's like, doesn't matter. He's like, ah.
Like, how could you not hear that over the phone though? Because clearly honestly, that part sounds like something that would happen to Tyler if he went to a place like that. I feel like.
Yeah, that probably would. But I'd like to think that I would have a better idea, especially in the scene. Russ is not walking too far, you know. But then again, we wouldn't have the joke in the movie, you know. But
I remember when Tyler and I first became friends and we started talking about movies, and I couldn't remember. I don't think I remembered the name of it, but I remember telling Tyler, I'm like, yeah, man, I remember watching that Jim Carrey vampire movie, and like his eyes, he's like, well, it's Bitten. I was like, oh yeah. Yeah. And then when we found it on DVD, or when I got it on DVD and you got pissed at me, you're like, where'd you find that? I don't even remember where I bought it at. And I think
Big Lots. I think it was Big Lots.
I think you went and tried to find it, and you're like, oh no. Did you end up getting that in the double feature with The Wizard, or what?
No, it's by itself.
Yeah, because I know it was in a double feature at one point too with something else. I can't remember. It
was. It may have been like Love at First Bite with Nicolas Cage or Nicolas Cage vampire movie. Yeah, Vampire's Kiss, and then Love at First Bite is the one with George Hamilton.
So many vampire movies in the 80s. Damn it, bring that back! Come on, like. In a good way, new original ideas. I mean, I'd be up for a Once Bitten remake.
But I do appreciate like the sexual aspects with vampires. Like I think of like Fright Night, and even though the movie was a piece of shit, I remember renting it at Nathan's house. It was a movie called Graveyard Shift, not the Stephen King film, but the one about the cab driver that was a vampire. Because the VHS covers looked so menacing with this vampire, his like half his face was closed off by shadows. You got a beautiful woman like with her neck exposed, the New York skyline below it, and you look at that and you're like, oh wow, like this menacing, scary vampire is going to be going around New York City and you know biting all these beautiful women. You know, it just I think making it sexual and scary at the same time. That's what makes Fright Night so damn good. It's my favorite horror movie of all time anyway. But I like having, you know, adding sexuality to that. But the fear factor as well. It intensifies the situation. It makes it scary. I think it's a shame that Twilight comes along, cuts the balls off of all that. Even though all they're trying to do is beat you over the head with, in this romantic and intimate with Kirsten Stewart acting all weird and shit. You know, and you know you got Robert Pattinson acting like, oh god, I'm going to throw up, and I sparkle in the sunlight bullshit, and all the other. I mean, just everything they could to just mutilate what made vampires cool, and still to this day, and people love to give those movies shit for what they did. But to me, Once Bitten, I mean, and I know Tom Holland said he made Fright Night. He wanted to bring vampires and make them serious again, make them a threat, because it had been camped down and made silly for so long. But at least with Once Bitten, I don't feel like it diminishes the reputation of vampires. I never thought it had. Because to me, it's a legendary film. It's a blast to watch. It's a great time capsule film. It just makes me wish that I had been older in the 80s so I could go to the stores or go to a burger stand that's in the middle of like a plaza and go hang out like while Nathan's in the back flipping burgers or something like that.
Man, I just
wish I could get a girl for Nathan.
I can't believe.
Around.
Yeah, have you ever tried to juggle? I'm terrible.
I've tried.
That was impressive though, with the spatulas and juggling. I can't see how anyone could eat a burger just burnt to a crisp like that.
Some people do.
I couldn't do that. It would just be like, you may as well just hand me the charcoal from under the grill or something, and I just eat that because that's exactly what it would taste like. Ugh.
There's a scene in that movie though. The way Nathan's talking about hamburgers, when he goes to the lunch line and is asking for hamburgers, then finally says, "Can I have one of those uncooked ones?" And the lady looked at him and just slaps it on his tray. When I think of like angry lunch ladies, I'm always thinking of that scene. Like, Oh, did you hand it to him like an angry lunch lady? Just slap it on there? Like I just always make that assumption when people are handing you something with food in a very aggressive manner, like to just slap it on your plate like that. And I always like the setup of their school too. It almost looks like the same school that Karate Kid was filmed at. The school where everything's outside. Like when you go to your next class, you go outside, or like in Fright Night too, where they had like the overhead and students walk to the next class and everything's just outdoors. I just thought it'd be so cool to go to a high school like that.
Yeah, I wish we would have had a normal high school and not just the weird design that we had, because that was
the locker bank circles and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, who was like, "Yeah, this seems like a good idea," and it's all carpet too, which I'm like, that doesn't even make sense because that's gonna get so dirty, and when people throw up on it, it's gonna be way harder to clean that up.
That would be.
But just got to bring out that sawdust.
That's right. I'm going to bring up one thing real quick about burgers, as you said that, and then go right into talking about this movie again. But when you're talking about them burgers, yeah, it's got to be a little pink for me. You know, I can't have it be well done. I mean, hell, even like when I'm making meatballs and I season it all up, and even before I fry it, I take like a little piece of that raw meat and just eat it just to taste to make sure it's seasoned right. Then I fry it up. Steak, though. There is nowhere in the world you're going to have a well-done steak with me. With me, people hate usually watching me eat it because I do eat steak with my hands. I told you that before, because cutting it up, you're wasting time and the juices escaping. Well, I'm just saying, by biting it, you're getting right into it.
Hang on. You said you're wasting time. And I mean, it's dinner, dude. Like, are you in that much of a hurry? Like...
Well, not just a hurry, but, you know, when you're cutting it into little pieces, it's like all the juices and bloods come out and all the flavor. It's like you're losing it on the plate. So
smaller pieces, you can enjoy it more. But I guess if you're rushing it, it makes sense.
You want to drink the blood right out of it, you know.
Well, you gotta, you know, when you bite it, you're at least getting all of it. You know, you're not gonna lose any of the flavors and stuff, but you can still chew it slow. But yeah, because like even when I grill or fry or however, or bake a steak or broil it, I'll just do a little on one side, a little on the other.
There never are any scraps or leftovers in the Amato household, are there?
None. You don't see usually leftovers. No, it usually does not exist. But yeah, with the steak, it's got to be nice, real red and bloody. I can't have that thing looking all done.
God, no. I'm a medium. I'm a medium well. I don't like well done, but I also don't want it like just blood. So medium well is my stance.
I think the craziest thing that made me laugh one time was when I was telling the story about when I fried stuff up, and I said you'd get that like grease and butter and scum in the pan and you scoop it out and eat it. And Tyler had that look right there, and then he said, "Jesus Christ, man." When he said that as a reaction to when I said that, oh, he's killing me. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I just was, but all right, well, hell.
God.
Back to Once Bitten, though. I mean, you know, you're right, it's a comedy, but it's a comedy also that isn't like cornball annoying comedy, meaning yes, it has its fun moments, and even within, you know, the Countess herself, it's like she's not a vampire that I was afraid of, but it was intriguing, thinking almost like you said, God, I'd almost want her to bite me. And then at the end, when she couldn't get her virgin blood, because she needs that virgin blood 3 times a year to stay young, she couldn't get that from him. Then she started looking old, and you kind of pitied her, like, oh damn, she can get her fucking blood, but you know, you'll get them next year, I guess. But yeah, she started aging. I felt so bad for her, but like I said, it's like you weren't frightened of her, you kind of pitied her, but it was a comedy, but it was just a good, fun 80s comedy of a vampire movie that worked, because some took them a little more serious. Like earlier when we were in the chat room, JSP, he did mention, we forgot, Lost Boys. Hell yeah, that's a great vampire movie, and one that no, you weren't feeling fun or safe or nothing during that damn movie. It had its couple little things of humor, but no, that was pretty much all serious.
Yeah, the tone, that's another thing. Well, I mean, we're all about tone. At least that's my mentality. I need a consistent tone. If you're going to sell me a comedy, give me a comedy. If you want horror, give me horror. Yeah. But don't pull the whole Marvel shit and just say you're all over the place and just the mass audience says, "Oh, I love it." Like, no, you don't know anything about movies. So I just, and then they don't, and they never will when they constantly expose to this type of horse shit.
Go to hell.
Yeah, go to hell, you die.
Oh, and hello, Wiley Walt. That's somebody new in the chat room. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I mean, he says here she was a vampire, wanted to bang. Yeah, that was a thing. I was never afraid of her, and I always.
No, I was down. Even as a kid, I was like, I kind of want Jim to go with Lauren Hunt because, gosh, she's really making it like. In my eyes, I'm still thinking if you give in to this you're going to get to have sex with her. That's how I took it. Like, that's kind of one of the perks of being bitten is,
And
like, you will get to bed Lauren Hutton.
I always liked that even though you had the painting, like everything else is just a tease with that deep V cut. And then also too, when she's like on the couch and you can clearly see that she's got like a thong on, but you only see a peek of it, and then she like sort of takes it and covers herself up again. Like, there's something sexier about that. It's also going back to the point of less is more.
Like, I mean, you see her full on cleavage, like she's not wearing any top underneath that nightgown. I mean, everything she wears in that movie. Even when she gets out of her coffin at the beginning of the movie, and she's in her leg warmers, like exercise outfit, and you see her, like, her ass cheeks hanging out around, like, oh my God, man. Just can someone just like zap me into this movie, and I'll just open up my inner thighs. Here, have it right here. I was just so infatuated with her as a kid. God, I really, really was, man. She was stunning. She was beautiful. I loved her voice. I used to have mixed feelings about it. I was like, I'm supporting Jim Carrey. Like, I want him to win and seize the day, but I'm like, you need to stop fighting this, man. It's Lauren Hutton, man. It can't be that bad being a vampire, And then his girlfriend comes along and says, "Fuck off," like, oh my God, that was like a big epic moment too, because you're just not expecting it.
They had to ruin it for the poor Countess because they took care of business inside a coffin. I'm like, damn it, ruined it for the Countess. But hell, Jim Carrey.
Which was, like, oh wow, she's like, she's enjoying it. So all right, here we go. Like, all right, so you can't be angry with that ending too. It's and of course the epic shower scene too, which me and my dad and my brother used to laugh at a whole lot when they go like, fags in the shower. And it was just like, God, everyone runs out now that they're all convinced that Jim's buddies are all gay because they try to, like, look, Jamie, look. And Jamie's got soap in his eyes trying to look at his balls and his inner thighs and stuff.
For the bite marks. Yeah,
for the bite marks. I just love how Jamie's got it. Just, he's selling even before he's asked to look, and Russ grabs him from behind naked. Look, Jamie, look. And it's just yes, the guys in the shower wouldn't think of anything else other than these guys are trying to rape Jim Carrey in the bathroom.
Oh man,
or in the shower.
and they attempt to go to a laundromat to pick up chicks. And
I know, yeah.
Who does that? And the one was like, "Hey, I can tie you up and everything," and he's like, "No, that's okay." It's like, dude, well, there was your opportunity, and now you're too chicken shit to go through with it.
Oh, I mean, she was ready to go too, like her and her raspy cigarette voice. But even as a kid, I'm like, I guess if that's all I can get, so be it then. Like, that's because I'm trying to live vicariously through these guys as they're going through this stuff, and then he gets thrown in the dryer by some heavy woman, just for his probably very timid come on, She said no as he gets pulled out of the dryer.
I wonder how long someone could survive being in a dryer. It couldn't be too long, right? Because those things do get very hot.
Very hot, and
I would say like 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Not even
you'd
that.
be dead.
Yeah. Oh my God. So it just made them sympathetic because then they finally get to have sex with the two vampires at the end of the movie. At least that's how that's kind of how I look at it. Like, I don't know if they'll get bitten or not, but at least they got what they really wanted in the end. That was good enough for me. So I was just glad that all the heroes, they got to have sex by the end of the night. That was just like, way to go, guys. It was great. And just being chased around.
Dude. Hey, all right.
Yeah. Just like what Captain Dipshit from Tremors there. Melvin. But and being chased around the castle, like when they go down the slide and everything, it was just it was a fun haunted house chase that just felt like this is fun. I could do this. I could run around with a hot girl being chased by vampires and sliding down slides, and it's just a fun movie. It's a shame that it's not brought up in any retrospect of the 80s, or when people talk about it, it's the 80s they just don't mention once. But that's why you have people like us on a podcast like this. It's like to celebrate everything. We like to think it's not just about the mainstream or what kind of shit you see on a t-shirt and Hot Topic that should be celebrated. There's a lot more out there, and we're here to remind you that if you haven't seen it in a long time, you go back and revisit it, because there's so much quality stuff in the 80s. Lost Boys is great, but like Lost Boys gets used a lot in terms of like talking about 80s vampires.
It really does. I think that's
to
sort
the point
of.
You're like, I get it, we get it. It's a masterpiece, but can we see something else marketed to the masses here? Like, I'd love to have a simple, like, black tank top with that painting of Lauren Hutton. Like, put that on a tank top. Hell, I'd buy that. I'd walk around.
I'm sure it probably exists on Redbubble. You should just look it up. Have you even tried yet?
No, damn it, that's a great idea. Or Joe, put that on a tank top that I can actually wear, and not like that one tank top that I ordered for you, and I couldn't even get it over my damn head.
What sizes did they limit over there on TeePublic? Is there like a limit to them?
I got the biggest size they got. I'm like, God, it could. Of course, it just.
My
I couldn't. I still
just they're so big.
Well, I had more weight on me at that time too, which didn't help. But it's changed. But I still can't get the damn thing over me, so I just kept it as a commemorative, a motto, thing, and that's really about it. I can't wear it. It's too small.
That's when I feel bad because I don't know how to say it for people. It's like, hey guys, I
bought a
shirts.
A discounted Thundercats tank top from 80stees.com. It was a double XL on sale for $8. I bought it. I couldn't get it over my head. It was like a medium tank top that was tagged and marked on the inside as a double XL. So
Tyler's just that big, man. It's like I got to have these specially made. I can't be.
Well, I mean, I have to like the tank tops I wear to the gym. I get them from physiquebodywear.com. That makes them specifically for gym rats and bodybuilders. Like
he's an old woman crafting and sewing and everything to make all his special shirts. Like, this is the other way we can give them to you, Tyler. Like, I can't order shit from TeePublic. Goddamn it!
Well, yeah, I am not. I am not part of the mainstream. I am not the generic. I'm a unique individual. I need unique clothing. I have unique tastes. And I will not settle for anything less.
Tyler, were we ever going to see on the show in an actual T-shirt? Or is it? No. Is it just no? It's just always going to be like you've just completely abandoned wearing T-shirts now. It's all tank tops all the time.
I did wear like a nice dress polo yesterday when I went out, trying to do a little bit of shopping, and that's about it. When I'm, to go out, and do things that when it's not summertime, yes, I will put on like a nice polo shirt or a nice dress button-up shirt for a nice occasion or something like that.
Oh, so it's basically only when you need to like dress up.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other time, my tank tops, I think I got that just from where you go to the gym so much, and all you do is you go to work, go to the gym, go home, repeat. You just get accustomed to just wearing tank tops so much that I'm like, that's kind of how it happened. Like I was just wearing them so much. I just assumed just wear tank tops all the time. And to know I could get a Bionic 6 logo on a tank top, I'm like, hell, I don't need to buy T-shirts anymore. I don't need to go to Hot Topic and look through all the Pokemon Mario bullshit that they got on there. I can make my own and get very specific with pop culture references on my clothes. And they're all on tank tops. So, don't need to, and there's a lot of great designs on T-shirts, like on 80s Tees and Styling Online, but they all come on like thick cotton T-shirts.
What happened to 80s Tees, by the way? Because I see designs and I go and I'm just like, they want $35 for a shirt. I'm like, I don't remember them being that expensive.
They weren't. But
what the fuck happened?
They're putting on like that nice soft.
So they upgraded to the premium shirts, so that's why. Yeah, but still, $35.
$30 for a T-shirt of Skeletor or the Constructicons on there. You're gonna pay close to $40 with shipping and everything for a soft Transformer or He-Man T-shirt. It's bullshit. But you can get those thick, bulky cotton shirts for $18 and then $2 or $3 shipping. It's like everyone realizes, hey, we don't have to wear this. You can represent what you like on a nice, comfortable, soft, breathable material that's not going to make you feel real hot quickly. You got to fork over a lot more cash.
I just getting lucky at Target and Walmart. Sometimes have $7 to $9 T-shirts of crazy.
Yeah, but all they do is they recycle the same stuff, and if it's a cool picture, it's ruined by some bullshit catchphrase.
Well, the ones I got are some of the off the wall different things. Like the one last year my sister got me that I never seen or heard of had Freddy and Jason, and it looked like a painting. And it was like for a Christmas theme, like they were standing and posing for a picture together, but it was painted a completely unique style. It wasn't art.
That's so lame, Joe.
Well, there, I'm gonna tell my sister you don't got me a lame shirt. She's gonna come after your ass now.
You tell her where I'll give you my number. I'll give you my address. You tell her to make the driveway. I'll be waiting for her when she pulls in the driveway here.
Well, and
no, granted, yes. When you get a gift, yes, because I've received gifts that any other time I would not have picked up, but I was glad to have it. Yes. Yeah. But I just hate that, like with Freddy versus Jason stuff, or Freddy, it's always like the same generic Freddy versus Jason designs, as opposed to giving us classic Freddy Krueger from '84 or Jason from Jason Takes Manhattan. It's like the same look.
They love using Kane
Used
Hodder from
over and
Part
over
7.
again.
Or I've seen a lot of Kane Hodder ones in references of Part 7, and sometimes just a generic mask. Or they love getting on a kick of the Freddy versus Jason, which that's not usually everybody's favorite Jason, but they love fucking using that. But I got like a different, like random one last week. I couldn't remember. I was gonna wear it, I think, last week for the podcast. I don't even know if I did, but it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna wear it tonight. It's got like it looks like old video game graphics, but it starts off with Jason at the top. Then you see in video game form a guy and a girl, like maybe they're getting ready to make out, and it starts off, and at the end you see the guy dead, Jason holding a machete, and it says game over, and it has a high score. It looks like a video game screen with a score.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I'll wear that one tonight.
Where did you get that one from?
That one was a Target one, and that was, I think, $8. Yeah, it's just random. Sometimes this Target just gets the craziest thing. But no, I'm not, just like how I've said, I've never been a fan of, let's take the Filmation He-Man, put him on here, put a catchphrase. Like, I don't get those. But if it's something unique and just catches my eye, I'm like...
Well, they're not even using, like, traditional classic Filmation. It's some guy's lame version of Filmation He-Man with the sword in front of him saying, I have to shower, or I have the power, and it's He-Man standing in front of a damn computer, or it's come at me, bro, or got mad skills, or, you know, or Skeletor sitting there like, you know, bad dude, or some lame shit like that. And like, there's some asshole who's just like, oh, this is so funny, man. Hey, let's get a picture of Skeletor and he's acting angry, and let's put I'm knucking futz on the bottom of there or something like that. You know, just
or
the
like
most
I said, the one we
lamest
hate.
Stuff.
When he says meow, when I was like, he's never said meow.
He never said that. God,
I
wish I could find who it was and just strangle him in front of his coworkers. You know,
because now
everybody
it's like
on the damn internet is saying Skeletor and meow, 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 and I just want to line them all up and just go down the line and just smack the shit out of every single one of them.
There you go. Oh, Christ. Well, back to you, Nathan, because we're probably almost wrap this up soon. We're almost done with Once Bitten. Go ahead, Nathan.
I don't know what to say, man. This episode sort of had everything, right?
Yeah, I think we stayed on track for the most part. Like I even though we do our usual rants, I'm pretty happy with what we had to say about both films. I feel like we touched on some good points, some good scenes, and good moments that anybody who listens to this can, you know, like, yeah, we didn't just come over here and just kind of pretend to bullshit talking about an 80s movie. Like I feel like we touched on very fine details in both these films. And that's what I want in a podcast. I don't want people to kind of gloss over the generic of the generic when they want to talk about an 80s film. Give me some details. Give me some moments, you know. Give me some graphic details. And I feel like that's what lacking in some podcasts. I like to think that, you know what, you can get that from this podcast here, you know.
But that guy's talking about dad dicks. What the fuck is this shit?
But where else you going to find, you know, talking about dad dicks and hey, you know, we don't have advertisers, so I feel like we can get away with talking about such topics and stuff like that. So
I think even if we did, that I would be like, look, here's what this show is all about. It's going to be random. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to curse a lot. So if you don't like that, then we don't want your support, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's when we start going into, you know, and now from our advertisers at Nature Box or Casper Mattresses or Big Bad Toy Store or something like that, and then we start going to, you know what's bullshit and just ranting and raving. You know, some podcasts, they don't shy away from the content as long as we present the advertisers with what they want, and, you know, and don't make fun of it and talk down and say, you know, this or anything derogatory. What can I say?
Someone hit us up. We'll plug your shit on the show.
I
don't care what it is, even if it's
Rough Rider condoms. That's what we could do. We could do sponsor.
I bet those were a thing when DMX was popular and the Rough Riders were going around. Old rap music.
John Nally's sitting there loving it.
Yeah, Bug Out's playing in the background.
Yeah.
All right.
I bet Joe's going down the streets and ghettos listening to Bug Out.
Yeah, no, but like I said, yeah, we could always plug into your websites, and we'll do it for free, and you don't have to be part of Patreon. Like, if you support us, we'll support your website. And
I'm not a big fan of that. I'm really not. Like, unless it's for going towards a cause, like putting together like the Kickstarter documentary and stuff like that. That's a cool idea, but to keep doing the podcast and stuff like I don't have the nerve to ask people for money. just so we can do something that we are already doing for free, and we've already established. We just like talking about it.
Yeah, we like talking about it. We love bringing up anybody that's in the chat room. We always give shout outs, any suggestions, but we won't say, okay, for $1, we'll say your name. For $5, we'll say your name, and we can give any suggestions of things you want us to talk about. It's like, I ain't gonna fucking do that. It's like, we do this for fun, for free, for love. That's all we do.
Yeah, but actually, we could set up things like for $50, you can watch Joe eat a steak with his hands.
Now that's something I might have to fork over $50 for. But then again, too, that means Joe's going to have to either sacrifice the $50 or sacrifice, the mask.
I think what Joe would do, honestly,
is come up with like a cane mask. Like Kane has like the
That's what he would do. It would look like that, but he would just have the mouth.
Yep, and that's what I would do. I would actually take a mask like this, cut them up, and you'd see it, but bet your ass I'd eat a steak right there in front of everybody. And yeah, just with my hands. People thought it looked savage. My family sometimes says they don't want to take me out to a restaurant because they figure I'll do that. And I said in public, I'll try to be nice and use a fork and knife, but
try to act somewhat human.
Yeah, we could just see like back in the day, like you see it in A League of Their Own and some of those other films where like women would have to take those classes of just like proper. All right, well the fork is on this side and
I remember doing that in middle school.
The knife is over here, and I could just see someone getting mad enough at Joe. It's like, all right, we got to send him to one of these classes. He's got to learn how to eat like a real person in public.
And Joe's sitting in the back chewing gum, like, fork on the left side. Yeah, right. Yeah, just acting like he just could care less about it. He's got his feet up on the desk, candy cigarettes in the sleeve, his hair slicked back, chewing his gum, smacking his lips. And
if you want to hear the next one, and this is the God's honest truth, when it's Thanksgiving and they're setting out the places for the silverware, every time it comes to the fork, I'm like, well, I guess you won't need that, and put it to the side, because this is what I do. When I have the plate with the turkey, the yams, mashed potatoes, the stuffing, and my biscuits. I gotta have lots of biscuits because I use the biscuits.
Give him a basket of biscuits right next to Joe's plate there.
And that's not a lie. I would love it. I should get pictures or maybe try a video sometime. But what I do is I'll take them biscuits and use them as a fork and knife, and I grab the turkey, the yams, the stuffing, and I use it in a big mush of a mouth. I just use that and eat it all together because you're chewing it one way or another. But that's my way of not using a fork and knife, is using the biscuit as the utensil.
What do you have against utensils, man?
They're civilized.
No, like, what is it though? Is it just all right? All right. The steak thing is one thing because you're like, I don't want to cut it up, but this is different. This is already sort of cut up and together.
I told you this. I can't explain. Ever since I was a kid, I told you I've had these issues of things like.
Do you do this with women on dates? Like when you go out to a restaurant and you're just like scooping everything up with your bare hands, like a big wad of mashed potatoes, and would you like some? Or hey, you can eat that, and just scoop it right off her plate, and she's just like, "Oh my god, like I'll pay the check, just get me the hell out of here."
If it's like
that's how he gets. That's how he.
Yeah.
If it's soups and chilies and cereal, I gotta use a spoon.
You drink
it, but
he drinks. He puts it up to his face. Yes, like streaks of like chili.
It's just spilling all over him too.
Or he's lapping up like a dog on the table.
I
picture Joe being like that inmate in Naked Gun 33 1/3 where they're trying to hide the dirt, and that big heavy convict is sitting there just eating, drinking dirt. Like that's Joe at the Thanksgiving dinner table. Just
I swear,
you hear all these like pig sound effects when he's just going from all over.
I swear that, like I said, I am a very respectful person to people and places and things, but when I do go over for like company's house and there are things, yes, you got to use it. I'll try to use for some things, but when they want to take the plate away, I said, no, I can put that in the sink. I said, if you don't mind, I said, I like usually just cleaning off my own plate. And they said,
literally with your face.
And they say, are you going to go lick that plate? And I'm like, yeah, because everybody knows in my family. So I go out of the room so they don't watch me, and I lick the plate, and I rinse it off. And then I rinse it off under the sink.
Like Joe has to step out of the room to finish his damn meal.
No, because there's good when you.
Are you taking other people's plates and doing this too, or just yours?
No, it's just mine. It's just when you have barbecue sauce.
I was gonna say, all right, that's a problem, man.
Well, I like flavors. Like I said, if there's barbecue sauce or hot sauce or any kind of goop that's on there that I can't get off, I know I can only lick it off. So I go out of the room, I lick it, and then I rinse off the plate. But I gotta
get really just some more sauce and just put it on something instead of just.
It can't. You can't waste it, man. Nothing goes to waste, like he said.
And it's never. I honestly mean it. It's never.
Is it an issue? Is it an issue with your family though? Like at Thanksgiving, like you said, and they're just, obviously they're like, well, you're not going to need these, but is it a thing where you feel like all the eyes are on you watching, and you're just like, I can see him. It's just like hanging, and he's just like,
well, they're used to it, and they know.
Yeah, he's hunking over like this, like what?
Well, the thing is, they honestly know this is never an act. I'm not doing it like.
Do you use the tablecloth as a napkin? Like you your share of the and just tuck it into your shirt? And... Yeah.
It's like I said, it's not an act. It's just I've always enjoyed food that much and the flavors, and like I said, from when I used to steal chips out of lunches from kids, and like now, anytime I get
now, when you say steal, you don't mean like you asked, you mean you just grabbed it off their damn tray, right?
No, remember it's when where he's a motto, he would have to go in there to the little cubbies where they had all their stuff, and he would actually peek into their brown bags and their lunch boxes. Yeah,
eating other people's
he would.
Stop it.
Yeah, he would just open it up. Oh, yeah, that looks pretty good.
Well, I would look, and they'd have Doritos or chips. I never bit their sandwiches. I would just take some of their chips and snacks.
Oh, yeah, because that would be too obvious.
Too much dignity for that one. Yeah.
You don't want to give himself away. That's
by opening up the loudest thing in the kid's lunchbox, but he's not going to go for the softest, most quiet thing to eat. Because Joe is just, look, people, I have manners and I have a reputation to go up here. Okay.
I had issues. I still have issues.
What a constant source of joy Joe Amato is in this podcast. Val was telling us off the podcast last week. He said that, or Nathan has said, if we could get Joe out there, I mean, there'd be a mass audience. Like, and I picture like Joe being like Santa Claus at PowerCon, where people are coming up and someone's laughing like, what would you like customize, young lady? And then instead of a candy cane, he gives like a packet of ketchup and a McDonald's straw, and then sends them on their way. And the next kid comes up and sits on Joe Amato's lap, talks about what kind of custom they would want, hands him a packet of ketchup. It's like, don't be wasteful now. I'll be watching.
Yep. Oh, Jesus. You know what I just did now? I was going to say I plugged in my tablet. I didn't realize it wasn't plugged in the whole time, and it just gave me a battery alert. I was like, oops.
Well, shit. Wrap it up, Nathan.
Well, I mean, we're already at like the almost damn near 2 hour mark. So this was, I mean, it needed to be a longer feature. Yeah, it needed to be a longer episode because we were doing the double feature. Next week will be, man, it's going to be kind of tricky. I'm hoping this plans out all right. We're going to be talking about the new Halloween film, and I say it's going to be tricky because I'm currently scheduled to work overtime next Saturday. So I either have to call in for the day, maybe call in and tell them I'm going to be late, or if there's an early enough showing that Tyler and I can go to on Saturday, we're going to make it happen. I will find a way. But next week we will be talking about
the new Halloween.
Fingers crossed.
Crossed.
We're not gonna come on here and just.
I think it's gonna be good.
Depressed. I hope. I really.
Yeah.
I hope,
don't want to be depressed.
But I am not. I'm not gonna set my expectation too high because when you do that,
not necessarily. Last Jedi was a piece of shit, and I kept my expectations pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still with you guys. I'm just adjusting something.
But it's one of those things. It's one of the things where people are just like, Nathan, you always seem so negative and your outlook on things is so bleak most of the time. I'm like, well, if I just stay if I stay that way, then when good things happen and it's awesome, it makes it that much better. If I go into everything like, oh, this is going to be great and everything's great and it's not, then to me that just brings it down too far. So if I just stay there about basement level, and then I'm like, oh wow, that was amazing. So fingers crossed that this will be actually good.
I think it will.
I'm still worried about it though.
Yeah, I am too.
I have more faith in this than I did of those Rob Zombie ones. And
I had faith in that because I thought it was going to be great, and it wasn't. So now I've just been forever scarred at any other attempt to go back and revisit these established franchises because they just can't seem to get it right most of the time. So
hopefully this will be
it's not looking too good for Michael Myers, but I really hope that this is something we're going to be oh man the whole time.
Yeah, it just the only bad thing, if it is good, what's to follow from that? What are we going to get next? Know it's
coming. A shitty Child's Play remake is coming, whether we like it or not, based on the not it has nothing to do with this, so it doesn't matter. if it's successful or not, we're going to get some shit anyway. So,
yeah. Janusz said something in the chat. I see my name, and then I can't make out what the rest of it is. I'll have to throw it in a translator just to see what he's saying. But thanks to all you guys for joining us. Huh?
Real quick, I was going to say he said something to Tyler, too, in his native tongue, and that was, I couldn't read that either. But yeah, go ahead. You thank everybody. You do your ending. I didn't interrupt you. Go on.
Thanks again for everyone that joined us live. If you want to join these guys live, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when events are going on, when we are going live. I don't know if that notifies when I put the link up and it's there so you can set a reminder or anything. I've never really messed with that too much, but check out the links down below, beyondretropodcast.com. It'll take you to the Beyond Retro page of Pop Culture Network, which is the keywords that you're going to need if you want to find us on iTunes. If not, we got the Podbean link down below, so you can give that a download. Joe's Custom Creations, if you want to hit him up with some ideas that you got, and if you want to buy one of those T-shirts, if you're smaller than Tyler and you can fit into the sizes, check out.
I'm sure most people don't have that kind of issue like I do. So.
Yeah. Check out
most people, they ain't big like him. You know, he's got that size of like Hulk Hogan. So, yeah, you ain't big like Tyler, then don't worry about it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Is that your caricature? Like, I think Nathan says, like, I draw it, and Joe's like this.
You know where the weight room is?
Instead of not waiting to have the chicken cook, I'm just biting the damn head off the chicken. And like, oh, yeah, I need my protein. My blueberry steroids. Slapping my ass and injecting my ass with it'll explode.
Yeah, you just hear the wrapper just crumbling.
I just always
that's so good. Oh.
It's just, every time Tyler talks about, going to working out and all his tank tops, I just always envision Chris Farley from Tommy Boy, walking by, you know where the weight room is. I just picture Tyler can do that anytime he sees like a hot chick or something. That would be Tyler.
No, I see guys do that shit in the gym all the time too, and I just like, oh my, and this is what makes talking to women in the gym, like, they're just going to assume that every asshole's like, hey, you almost done with that bench, and she's not even using it, or you got the whole fleet of benches and different seats to use, and the asshole's got to come over and ask the one girl who's using the only one being used, how many more sets you got left? Just shit like that. And taking pictures of themselves, and then, oh, man, I just slammed, 135 on the ground. Who wants my autograph?
Yeah. Or it's like, oh, hey, do you know where the free weights are? Actually, yeah, they're over there.
Yeah.
I did want to mention too. Also down below, Facebook page. Go ahead and give that a like, and leave a comment down below on this video. Let us know your thoughts on Monster Squad, Once Bitten, any other sort of '80s horror films, horror comedies, like in this genre that maybe have been lost to time and forgotten about, or if there's some of your own personal favorites that you remember catching on USA all the time. Because I like Vamp. I remember catching pieces of that. I need to go back and rewatch that, but that always seemed like a fun vampire film. Yeah. I don't know. You guys got anything else before we jump out of here? Yeah. Tune in tonight, 9 p.m. for Fans of Power. It's gonna be interesting.
Ranting and raving. There's a shocker.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be on a scale that most people have not witnessed before. I would say maybe from Tyler's end of things, yes, but I think we're going to see a different side of Joe tonight. I think there's a full moon.
Hype it up. We cannot hype it up because
there's a full moon out somewhere.
Silent about it.
And all I'm doing, like I said, I'm just bringing truths. This isn't stuff that I'm thinking or making up in my head. Everything I'm going to say.
Joe, I wish you could put on like a reverend outfit. That way, you're speaking from the book of truth, and and you're holding your finger up, and you got the whole like the white thing around your neck there, and.
I wish I could. It is everything I'm gonna be saying. It's something that anybody can Google and see. And let's just say that after I've shown people some of this stuff that they've seen, and they had thoughts of whatever we'll be talking about tonight and expectations, I've seen a lot of people's opinions change on stuff, and they've gotten quite quiet. They can still like something, but I'm just bringing truths which are kind of wrong of what some fandoms do to other fandoms and what people say. It's just, you'll see tonight. It's just. Things I'm saying ain't being nasty. It's just being truth, and what they are saying is actually nasty. But you'll see what it's like tonight. Yeah.
It's going to be fun. So until then, we will see you guys next week for episode 56. And hopefully we will not be depressed by this new hell. Take care, guys.